Ever scrolled through your feed and thought, man, this vacation video would be way more epic with, I don't know, explosions?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not explosions, but picture this. Your friend's travel vlog transformed into a high-budget action flick? Or like a whimsical animation?
Yeah.
That's the kind of wild future Meta is hinting at with this movie gen research.
Yeah, and that's what we're diving into today, right? This research paper.
Yeah.
It's dense, full of technical jargon.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah,
So our mission today is to decode it for you.
exactly.
So we'll translate all the text geek into plain English and pull out all the exciting possibilities of this.
Absolutely. And we know you, our listeners, love to stay ahead of the curve on AI, especially when it comes to creative applications. So we're going to break down what Movie Gen can actually do, how it stacks up against the other tools that already exist, and then what it all means for, the future of video.
Because MovieGen isn't just like a single tool, right? It's more like a whole suite of AI tools all working together,
Okay.
almost like a film crew.
Interesting.
The researchers broke it down into three main parts: MovieGen Video, MovieGen Audio, and MovieGen Edit.
Okay, so let's talk about Movie Gen Video first. So this is the component that takes text descriptions and makes them into actual moving pictures. So we've all seen those AI image generators, right?
Right.
Movie Gen Video builds on that, but adds in the challenge of making smooth, realistic motion.
Which is a huge technical leap, right?
Yeah.
Because, think about it, instead of just like a single image, the AI has to generate a sequence of frames that all flow together seamlessly.
Yeah.
And the paper really stresses that this realistic movement is crucial because jumpy or unnatural motion is a dead giveaway of AI-generated video.
Totally. So how do they make it look natural? It can't be as simple as just telling it to make a video.
Well, you're right. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes down to the data they use to train these models. They focused heavily on selecting video clips that featured very high-quality, natural human movement.
Okay.
And they also use a technique called diffusion models, which have become really popular in AI image generation.
Okay, so back up for a second. What exactly is a diffusion model?
So it's a little technical.
Okay.
But imagine like taking a perfectly clear picture, right? And then you just slowly start adding noise to it, like static, until it becomes like completely unrecognizable.
Yeah?
A diffusion model essentially works in reverse.
Right.
It learns to remove that noise and reconstruct the original image.
Wow.
And with video, they're doing this frame by frame,
Okay.
but also making sure that the changes between the frames are smooth and realistic.
So it's like you're teaching this AI to paint a masterpiece by first showing it how to mess one up
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
and then clean it back up again.
Yeah.
So wild. Okay, so back to Movie Gen Video. What else can it do besides this basic text to video?
It's incredibly versatile.
Okay.
Like it can generate videos in different aspect ratios, different lengths, different frame rates. And that suggests that Meta isn't just thinking about this as a research project, right? They're thinking about how this could actually be used practically.
Yeah.
Maybe on platforms like Instagram, where all those factors really matter.
Okay, now we're getting to the really cool stuff. So I read that Movie Gen can also create personalized videos where you're the star.
Yeah, you can put yourself into these videos.
So wouldn't that just end up looking like a weird, deep-faked mess?
It's a challenge, and the researchers acknowledge that.
Okay.
They actually call it the copy-paste problem.
Okay.
Because if the AI isn't trained carefully, it might just paste your face onto an existing video
Right.
without actually creating natural movement.
Yeah.
So to overcome that, they've been experimenting with different types of training data, which we can dive into a little bit.
Okay. You've piqued my interest. Okay, so let's talk about sound. So even the coolest video can totally fall flat without like a good soundscape.
Absolutely.
So what is Movie Gen Audio all about?
So MovieGen Audio is all about creating really realistic sound effects
Okay.
and music that matches the video.
Okay.
And this is an element that's often overlooked in AI content creation.
Yeah,
But it's so crucial for a good viewer experience.
totally.
And the researchers really went the extra mile here, creating a system that can actually distinguish between diegetic sound
Okay.
and non-diegetic sound.
I'm going to be honest, I don't totally have a grasp on the difference between those two. Can
Yeah.
you break it down?
Of course, yeah.
Hmm.
So diegetic sound refers to sounds that originate from within the world of the video. So for example, if you see a car driving by in the video,
Yeah.
the sound of the engine would be considered diegetic sound.
Gotcha.
Non-diegetic sound is sound that's kind of added on top, like background music or a narrator's voice.
Okay.
Movie Gen audio can actually generate both.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that city street scene example we talked about before, movie gen audio could add in like the rumble of traffic.
Yes.
Or like a distant siren.
You just
Or
said that.
even like the chatter of pedestrians walking by.
Exactly. And those sounds wouldn't just be generic either.
Okay.
The AI can create very specific, realistic sounds.
Right.
The distinct honk of a particular car horn
Wow.
or the whoosh of a bus passing by.
That's amazing.
And it's all timed perfectly to the action on screen.
Wow. That's incredible. So it sounds like they're creating like a fully immersive sensory experience then.
Exactly.
So we've got the video covered, we've got the sound covered. What about the editing process?
Right.
Because isn't video editing notoriously like tedious and time consuming?
It can be, yeah. But that's where Movie Gen Edit comes in.
Okay.
This component goes beyond creation and actually delves into manipulation.
Okay.
So imagine being able to edit your videos as easily as you write a text message.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So you give Movie Gen Edit a video and some text instructions on how to change it.
Okay.
And it's all about making these edits on the fly using natural language.
Wow.
So you want to change that red car to blue?
Hmm.
Just tell it to. Want to swap out that cloudy sky for a sunny one?
Yeah.
Just type it in.
That sounds incredibly powerful, but also maybe a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances that my edit would actually look realistic and not like totally botched?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And you're right, training an AI to edit videos well is no small feat. It requires a massive amount of data.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there aren't many data sets out there specifically labeled for video edits.
So how did the Meta researchers tackle that challenge?
Yeah.
Where do you even begin when you don't have the data you need?
Right.
Let's pick this up after a quick word from our sponsors.
Right.
Just kidding. Don't go anywhere. We're going to dive deeper into Movie Gen Edit right after this metaphorical break.
Right after the break.
All right. So before that metaphorical break,
Right.
we were talking about Movie Gen Edit and the challenge of training an AI to edit video with limited data,
Right.
which kind of sounds like a head scratcher. So how did the Meta team actually pull that off?
Well, they got really creative.
Okay.
And they started by using data sets that were actually designed for image editing.
Hold on, image editing. So how do you go from still images to editing, like full-on videos?
Yeah, so it's about taking a really complex problem
Right.
and breaking it down into smaller steps, you know?
Okay.
So think of image editing as like single frame video editing.
Okay.
So they trained Movie Gen Edit to make changes to those individual images
Okay.
based on text instructions,
Gotcha.
essentially teaching it these like fundamentals of visual manipulation.
So it's like learning your ABCs before you try to write a novel.
Exactly.
Start with the basics.
Exactly. Start with the basics.
Trying to build up.
And they also wanted to make sure that it retained its ability to like, you know, generate video
Right.
alongside this editing capability.
Yeah.
So they trained it simultaneously on text to video generation as well.
Oh, interesting.
So it's learning to create and edit at the same time.
Very cool. Very meta. But I imagine that editing a single frame is a far cry from, editing like a whole sequence. Like, how do you teach an AI to make changes that flow smoothly over time?
Yeah, that's a great point. And they realized that to create these truly seamless edits, the AI needed a better understanding of how changes to one frame would impact all the subsequent frames.
Right.
So to do that, they actually created 2 synthetic data sets specifically for this purpose.
Synthetic data set, so not like real data, but something
Right.
that they created specifically for this training.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
The first one was based on something called animated frame editing.
Okay.
So they started with existing image edits.
Okay.
So these were pairs of input and output images showcasing the desired change.
Gotcha.
But then they got clever. They started applying these random transformations to both the input and output images.
Okay.
Like slight rotations, subtle shifts in position.
Okay.
And that actually created sequences of frames,
Interesting.
turning those static edits into short, like animated clicks.
So they're like simulating movement to teach the AI about temporal consistency, like showing it how edits evolve over time.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And then the second synthetic data set actually focused on a task called generative instruction-guided video segmentation.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Basically, they were training the AI to identify and mark specific objects within a video.
Okay.
based on those text instructions.
So if I told it, like, make the car blue,
Right.
it would need to, like, understand what a car is, first of all,
Yes.
and then be able to locate it in every single frame of the video,
That's
and
correct.
then, like, apply the color change consistently.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh.
So by training on these two synthetic data sets, alongside that text-to-video generation task we talked about, they significantly boosted its ability to actually handle these multi-frame edits.
So it's like they've created an AI apprentice, teaching it all the tricks of the trade through these, like, really clever exercises.
Exactly.
But they didn't stop there, did they? Didn't they use some kind of back translation technique as well?
You're on top of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So once the model kind of had learned the basics,
Right.
they used back translation to kind of further refine its performance.
So what is back translation?
So basically, they used the model itself to generate a bunch of edited videos.
Okay.
They filtered those videos for quality, so
Right.
they had humans look at them,
Okay.
and they picked out the good ones.
Okay.
And then they took those good ones,
Right.
and they fed them back into the training process.
So it's like the AI is learning from its own successes, so meta.
Exactly.
But how do you actually measure the success of, like, an AI video editor?
Right.
Because it seems incredibly subjective.
It is really subjective.
Yeah.
And evaluating something like Movie Gen Edit requires like a multifaceted approach.
Sure.
So they use a combination of automated metrics
Right.
and then, importantly, human evaluation.
So real people are actually watching these AI-edited videos.
Exactly. And giving feedback.
That makes sense. I mean, get
Right.
some, like, real human eyes on this stuff.
Exactly.
So what were they looking for specifically?
Well, the human evaluators were given really specific criteria to focus on.
Okay.
So they would watch pairs of these edited videos,
Okay.
along with the original video and the text instruction.
Gotcha.
And then they would rate which video they thought best matched that given instruction.
Okay.
Which one preserved the original video structure better, and which one was overall just more like visually appealing, more aesthetically pleasing.
So it's like judging a film editing competition, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay, so how did Movie Gen Edit fare? Was it a box office hit
Right.
or like a straight-to-video flop?
So based on what's in the research paper, Movie Gen Edit actually outperformed existing video editing tools, especially in like accurately implementing those text instructions
Okay.
and maintaining that original video structure.
Nice.
So it seems like they're onto something really promising here.
Wow.
And they actually even went a step further and created a new benchmark data set called Movie Gen Edit Bench
Wow.
to evaluate these video editing AIs on even more realistic, challenging videos.
All right, so we've got this incredibly versatile video editor that can seemingly do anything that we can, describe with text.
Right.
But there's still something missing, right?
Yeah.
We can't have a cinematic experience without sound.
That's right.
Cue the music.
Exactly.
Or I guess, like, cue the AI sound designer in this case.
Right.
So tell us everything about Movie Gen Audio.
So Movie Gen Audio is all about generating really high quality, like cinematic sound effects
Okay.
and music
Mm-hmm.
that syncs perfectly with the visuals.
Okay.
It's really like having a Hollywood composer and a Foley artist at your fingertips.
That's incredible. But sound design is so intricate.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even begin to, like, teach an AI to do that?
It's a huge undertaking.
So we've got this AI that can seemingly compose a symphony to, accompany a car chase scene.
Right.
It's pretty mind-blowing, but, like, how does it actually work? What kind of training goes into, creating an AI sound designer?
Well, they used a massive amount of data. I'm talking millions of audio and video samples.
Wow.
Thousands of hours worth.
Wow.
But it wasn't just about quantity. They were also really selective about the quality of the data they used.
Okay.
So they actually filtered it
Yeah.
based on things like audio fidelity, the presence of really clear sound effects or music,
Okay.
and even like how well the audio synced up with the visuals.
It sounds like they were, like, curating the ultimate sound library
That's
for
it.
this AI to
That's
learn
it.
from.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure it was learning from the best of the best. And then they used this two-stage training process.
Okay.
The first stage is called pre-training,
Okay.
and that focused on teaching the AI kind of like the basic structure of audio and how it relates to like visual information, textual information. Think of it as laying the foundation.
Okay, so, like, teaching it the basic grammar and vocabulary
Exactly.
of sound, yeah.
What about that second stage?
So the second stage is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They call this stage fine-tuning.
Okay.
And for this stage, they used a smaller data set,
Okay.
but it was all very high quality audio and video.
Gotcha.
And this data was specifically chosen to give the AI more of a cinematic sensibility. So they're going beyond just the basics, and they're teaching it to create soundtracks that wouldn't sound out of place, like in a Hollywood film.
Exactly, yeah.
That's really ambitious.
Yeah, it is.
But how do you measure the success of something as, like, subjective as sound design?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And, they tackled it from both a subjective and objective standpoint.
Okay.
So for the subjective evaluation,
Yeah.
they actually brought in, human listeners.
Okay, so you get some ears on it.
Yeah, real people.
Makes sense.
And these listeners rated the quality of the AI-generated audio
Okay.
on things like how natural it sounded, how professional it sounded, just the overall quality.
So it's like having this panel of music critics
Exactly.
judging these AI compositions. What were they listening for specifically?
They were asked to pay really close attention to how well the audio aligned with the video.
Okay.
So did the sound effects make sense within the scene?
Yeah.
Were they timed correctly?
Yeah.
Did they evoke the right kind of emotions?
Gotcha.
They wanted to know if the AI could create a truly immersive and believable soundscape.
That makes sense. Yeah. So what about, like, the objective side of the evaluation?
Right. So for the objective side,
Yeah.
they used a variety of metrics, including one called image bind,
Image bind.
which essentially measures how well audio-video data align with each other.
Okay.
So it's a way to kind of quantify how well the sound matches what you're seeing on screen.
Interesting. And how did Movie Gen Audio actually perform? Like, could it hold its own against other AI sound generation tools out there?
So according to the research, Movie Gen Audio actually consistently outperformed the competition,
Wow.
both in terms of just overall audio quality
Yeah.
and how well that sound synced up with the video.
That's amazing.
And interestingly, they found that Movie Gen Audio would often generate these soundtracks that were more in line with what you might expect from, like, a professional sound designer.
Wow. That's really impressive. So it sounds like they've really pushed the boundaries of what AI can do in the realm of sound design.
They really have, yeah.
But there's one more thing I'm kind of curious about. What about longer videos?
Okay.
Can this AI create a soundtrack for something longer than, say, like a few minutes?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's one thing to create a short sound snippet,
Right.
but creating this, like, cohesive soundscape for a longer video, that's a whole other challenge.
Totally.
However, the researchers seem to have found a way around that limitation. They call it audio extension.
Audio extension. Okay, so is that like some kind of AI magic trick?
It's actually a really clever combination of a couple different techniques.
Okay.
So they use something called multi-diffusion,
Okay.
which is basically a way to generate, like, different parts of an audio track
Mm.
separately.
Yeah.
And then blend them together seamlessly.
Okay.
And they combine this with what they call a segment level approach.
Okay.
So basically, they break the video down into these smaller chunks.
Okay.
They create the audio for each of those chunks.
Right.
And then they use that multi-diffusion to stitch it all together smoothly.
So it's like taking a puzzle,
Yeah.
You got to create all those individual pieces, but then you've got to put them together in a way that creates a whole picture.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it actually works.
Well, according to the research, yeah. They actually even compared their approach to, like, a simpler method
Okay.
where they were just, like, stitching together these randomly generated audio segments.
Okay.
And Movie Gen Audio's audio extension capabilities
Yeah.
blew it out of the water.
That's wild. Okay, so let's recap here for a sec. We've got through all these different components of this, like, incredible suite of tools.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
We've got Movie Gen Video, personalized Movie Gen Video,
Right?
Movie Gen Edit, Movie Gen Audio.
It's like a whole production studio.
I know, it's crazy.
In one AI.
It's clear that Meta has, like, developed something truly groundbreaking here. I mean, something that could completely change how we even think about creating video and probably experiencing it too.
Absolutely. It really makes you wonder, like, what does this mean for the future of filmmaking, of content creation in general?
Yeah.
Even just, like, how we share our everyday experiences with each other.
It's a lot to kind of wrap our heads around. I mean, on the one hand, these tools could really democratize creativity. It could give, like, anyone with a smartphone the power to create content that looks and sounds like it was made in, like, a Hollywood studio.
Right. But it also brings up all these questions about, the role of human creativity in a world where AI can generate such realistic and sophisticated media.
It's a topic that deserves like a lot more discussion and exploration for
Mm.
sure. And that's what we encourage you, the listeners, to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So dive deeper into this research, ask those tough questions, and then let us know what you think.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about it.
Because the future of video creation might be a lot closer than we think.
Yeah, maybe the next big blockbuster film will be directed and edited and scored by an AI.
Or maybe it'll be your vacation video,
Exactly.
transformed into something truly extraordinary with a little help from Movie Gen.
I'd watch that.
Me too. But that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration into the world of cutting-edge tech.
See you next time.